Good morning. I call to order the April 21st, 2020 virtual meeting of the Saline County Board of Commissioners. If anyone in the public wishes to participate in the meeting today, they will need to dial at 785-621-0800 and enter the participant code 782956 followed by the pound. If you wish to speak, you must dial *9 and the moderator will unmute you and get you into the meeting. At this time, I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioner Shadwick?
Here.
Commissioner Sparks?
Here.
Commissioner Vidrickson?
Here.
Commissioner Weiss?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Present.
I ask that everyone present stand and join me in a flag salute, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic to which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the citizens' input, where citizens may speak on county government, items that are not on today's agenda, and limited to 3 minutes. Are there any callers who wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, no one has raised their hand.
We have no callers at this time, so we will move on to regular business. First up is the consent agenda, and that is the approval of prior minutes, approval of tax roll adjustments, approval of accounts payable and payroll, and approval of public forum agenda as presented. Are there any of those items that any commissioners wish to have taken away from today's agenda? Hearing no objections, we will approve the consent agenda. We will move on to action items for today. Item number 1 is policy 40.32, procurement, purchasing, and contracts with Marilyn Leamer, our Human Resource Director. Good morning, Marilyn.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today I'm bringing before you again policy 40.32. Commissioners actually approved this policy several years ago that increased the authorized spending amounts for department heads, and it was really to hit some of those routine purchases, blades, tires, medications, and such. We had also previously revised the policy to flow a little bit better. We had some recent updates to this last month, and in my error, I did grab a previous version at that time, and so it was not the active policy that we were currently under. So this version in front of you does take those previous versions, plus updated those minor things that we did last month. That was with regard to the public notice, changing it from a publication to an issuance. And it also revised the engineer's estimate amount in line with state statute. So this is just an updated policy and asking for approval of that today.
Are there any questions or comments from other commissioners? Are there any public members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Mr. Chair, no one has raised their hand.
Hearing no objections from the community, I will ask for a motion from a commissioner, please.
Commissioner Shadwick here. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve by signature the changes to policy 40-32.
Second the motion.
I believe that was Commissioner Sparks.
Yes, I apologize.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve policy 40.32, procurement, purchasing, and contracts. Any further discussion? Not, I will call the roll. Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss?
Aye.
Commissioner Sparks?
Aye.
Commissioner Shadwick,
Aye.
and Commissioner Vidrickson is aye. Therefore, it does pass. 5-0. We'll move to item number 2, which is RFA 146-20 bid award for a power broom. And this is with Darren Fischel, Road and Bridge Administrator. Good morning, Darren.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a request for action for the purchase of one new power broom that was let out a bid according to County Policy 40-32. Bids were sent to 5 bidders. We received one bid from Berry Tractor for a superior power broom in the amount of $63,710. After evaluating the bid and the needs of the department, we subtracted some options and with the vendor's approval have an adjusted purchase price of $55,675 and a 2-year warning. The alternatives for action would be to accept the bid from Berry Tractor, reject and rebid, and instruct staff to pursue other options. Staff recommends accepting the bid from Berry Tractor. We have looked into Sourcewell contracting for purchase and have not received any lower pricing. This is an important piece of equipment for our department. It is primarily used to clean the roads prior to the striping operation. With the aggressive tack the engineering department has taken with the chip seal, we were also using it for maintenance on those roads. This will replace a 1998 Roscoe power broom with 8,019 hours. It will be offered to the Expo Center, and if they decline it, it will be sold on Purple Wave with the Board of Accounting Commissioners' approval. This type of equipment is generally not available for rental at the times when they need it due to the timing of the construction season. The budget impact, the money will be used from our 011 capital outlay account in the 2020 Road and Bridge budget that has an unencumbered balance of $82,823, and that would leave a balance of $27,148.
Okay, this is an action item that was tabled, I think, about 4 weeks ago, and it was tabled because of the COVID-19 outbreak. Commissioners, we didn't know exactly what we might be faced with at the time, and to be honest with you, we still don't necessarily know where this is all going to take us, but I feel that we're in a better position to okay this bid at this time, and I feel comfortable doing that. So with that, I would open it up for other commissioners to make any comments they wish.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, this is Commissioner Shadwick. I'm going to go ahead and remove it from table for consideration before we talk. So I move that we remove RFA 146-20 from table for consideration and possible action.
Thank you. An oversight on my part. Thank you, Commissioner Shadwick.
Commissioner Sparks, and I second the motion.
We will take a vote on that then, on the part 1, which is the action, which is to remove RFA 146-20 from the table for consideration and possible action. I'll ask for the votes from Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss.
Aye.
Commissioner Sparks.
Aye.
And Commissioner Shadwick.
Aye.
And Commissioner Vidrickson, aye. So we have done our due diligence there on the first part of this. So at this stage, then, I would open it up for comments from the commissioners. Hearing none, go ahead.
Commissioner Weiss here. A question for Darren. Do you feel like the 1998 Roscoe has another year or two of use in it, or is it at the end of its life?
You know, it's really at the end of what I consider its serviceable life. I can tell you that prior to using it, we typically have to work on it in order for us to use it. So that requires, shop time and things like that. And for us to use it on a regular basis, it's at the end of that servable life. It's the best way I can answer that, Mr. Weiss.
Any further questions from commissioners, comments? Is there any public comment?
Mr. Chairman, no one has raised their hand.
Hearing no public comment at this time, I would ask for a motion from one of the commissioners.
Commissioner Shadwick. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve RFA 146-20 as presented by staff.
Commissioner Sparks, I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 146-20 as presented by staff. Further comments from commissioners? If not, I will take the roll, call the roll for the vote. Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss?
Aye.
Commissioner Sparks?
Aye.
Commissioner Shadwick?
Aye.
Mr. Vidrickson? Aye. Motion does carry 5-0. Thank you for your input. We will move to item number 3, which is an RFA 156-20 engine rebuild with Darren Fischel, Road and Bridge Administrator. Good morning again, Darren.
Again, good morning. This is a request for action to authorize the engine rebuild and transmission replacement of one of our semi-tractor equipment hauling units. The truck is a 2005 International purchased in 2015 for $46,000 with 425,000 miles. The vehicle currently has 501,000 miles on it. We believe it's in the best interest of the department and taxpayers to rebuild the engine instead of looking for a new or used truck. This vehicle is in otherwise very good condition. Rebuilding the motor, since it is prior to Tier 4 emissions regulations, will make it so that we could continue to service the vehicle in-house by Saline County mechanics. Alternatives for action is rebuild the engine and install remanufactured transmission at MHC Kenworth, or install a remanufactured engine and transmission at MHC Kenworth. Staff recommends having the engine rebuilt and remanufactured transmission work performed at MHC Kenworth, Salina, Kansas for a total amount of $29,989.66. They are Cummins engine dealer for this area. The parts will be Cummins parts and not aftermarket. The rebuild is out of frame, which only makes the quality of the work better and the transmission installation less expensive. This is an approximate $10,000 savings over a remanufactured engine. Our department currently has 2 move trailers. The goal is to slowly rebuild the 2 older trucks and eventually purchase another trailer to make us more efficient. Right now we have 3 crews and one of them is generally waiting for a move truck. This will increase our response time in disasters and emergencies. The funds will come from the 020 account, Road and Bridge Special Machinery. It has an unencumbered balance of $1,426,527.44. This would leave $1,396,537.78.
Okay, Darren, thank you. My background a little bit into the trucking part of it. Used trucks that are normally available on the market normally would have in excess of 500,000 miles, if not 1 million miles most of the time, and most of those trucks are typically a decent one is going to be in the $40,000 to $60,000 or $70,000 range for a used truck. So this does look like to be a prudent way to spend our money and get us back into a operating truck that is in good shape as you've defined it, and with an up-to-date motor and transmission. So at this point, I would open it for conversation from other commissioners. No questions? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Commissioner Shadwick here. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve RFA 156-20 as requested by staff.
Commissioner Sparks, and I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA 156-20 for an engine rebuild. Is there any further comments? Not, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss?
Aye.
Commissioner Sparks?
Aye.
Commissioner Shadwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Vidrickson? Aye. Motion passes 5-0. That brings us to the end of our agenda items, we'll go into informational items with a quarterly budget update from Philip Smith-Haynes, our county administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to try muting the chair's microphone to see if that will cut down a little bit on the feedback. This year, the Commission has requested that administration provide quarterly budget updates. This is the first such update covering the period January 1st through March 31st. The basic message of this first update is everything is fine, which is kind of an odd sentiment when we know all of the things that have gone on with the COVID-19 pandemic and the associated economic impacts. The reason, though, that things were fine through March 31st is because the county receives revenues typically in arrears. So our receipts through March were really reflective of what was going on in the economy through about the end of January. And of course, at that time, things were humming along. We expect that the next quarterly update through June 30th will paint a more accurate picture of the impacts we've seen through COVID-19. We have, however, started exploring options for what we could do to reduce costs if we need to. Those include a potential premium holiday for our health plan, which could reduce budgeted expenditures by about $275,000, as well as a slowdown. I won't call it a hiring freeze, but a hiring chill, as we have not been able to do in-person interviews due to the COVID epidemic. That is estimated to save another $46,000 this year. So I think we're taking prudent actions and expect to have a fuller picture in about 3 months, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Any questions from commissioners? Not. Thank you for that update, Philip, and we appreciate it. And I think it'd be wise to continue to do this at the very least on a quarterly basis. So we are going to have to keep our finger on the pulse here for some time to come, obviously. We'll move into item number 2, which is a county administrator's update, again with Philip Smith-Haynes.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. The biggest item that I wanted to talk to commissioners about today was legislation. The state legislature was scheduled to come back into session next Monday, April 27th, for their wrap-up session. It looks at this point like it's unlikely for that to happen next Monday. However, there is a need for the legislature to convene and take action on a few items, including extension of the statewide emergency declaration. So we don't know exactly when that will happen, but we expect it before May 21st. On the federal side, there's been quite a bit of talk in the news about the fact that Congress is now negotiating the 4th potential coronavirus relief package, and our associations, the League of Municipalities, the Association of Counties, and the National Association of Counties have all been very active in speaking with our federal delegation. I did send letters last week on behalf of Saline County to both of our senators and Congressman Marshall, giving our thoughts on what would be helpful in that package. And all 3 offices did confirm that they received that communication. We really appreciate the work that they are doing. I know the governor yesterday in her press conference was very complimentary of our congressional delegation. So that's kind of where we are with legislation. The other thing that I had on was just a reminder that there will not be a commission meeting next Tuesday. It is my hope at the present time that with the current scheduled end of the stay-home order on May 3rd, that we may be able to have an in-person county commission meeting on May 5th, although we will likely continue to have some social distancing measures in place, space commissioners appropriately around the room, reduce the number of public seats, etc. That is all I had this morning, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions of Philip? Not. I want to make a comment based on our state and local legislators. Got a letter from Senator Hardy stating that, with the wrap-up of the current legislators, the Congress in the state level, they have passed somewhere around 8 or 9 bills for this session. Typically, they would pass somewhere between 80 and 100 bills, and this is all tied up by the House and Senate leadership based on the abortion bill. And I think anybody watching should voice their displeasure to our local legislators in letting this happen. It seems like everything's along the party lines, and I wish they would vote based on what we need in Saline County and other counties for that matter, and get away from the Republicans versus Democrats and vice versa. So I'm off the soapbox with that comment, but that's how I feel about it. At this time, we'll move to item number 3, which is the commissioner's comments. Is there any commissioner who wishes to make a comment?
Commissioner Shadwick here. I just wanted to know, where are we with the burn ban? Did we set a date that's over, or was that open-ended?
I believe that burn ban was to go through April the 30th.
Yes, that's correct, April 30th.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Any announcements? I would take a motion for adjournment.
Commissioner Shadwick, so moved.
Commissioner Sparks, second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adjourn today's virtual meeting. Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss?
Aye.
Commissioner Sparks?
Aye.
And Commissioner Shadwick?
Aye.
Commissioner Vidrickson? Aye. Before we adjourn, I just want to remind everyone to stay safe, adhere to the stay-at-home policies as much as you possibly can, do only your essential tasks, and stay safe. We're adjourned.